Hello and welcome. Awesome. No, why I keep feeling like there is something on me. So weird. All right. Welcome, 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 welcome. IG, welcome Facebook. Facebook is doing something different. So hopefully I will be able to see your comments. Hey, Miss Donna. How are you doing? I don't know why I can't see comments right now. Oh, well. How is your day? How is everyone's day going? This is being weird. At any rate, hey, Facebook. If you guys are commenting, I don't know why it's not letting me see it. Oh, hey, Anise. Okay, now I can see it. You gotta love technology, right? Can you guys hear me okay? Oh, well. All right, we're gonna go with it. All right, so how is everyone doing? I pray that you are having a fantastic day. Hey, Jessica, how are you? Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, I don't have to see myself to be able to see y'all's comments. Great. So it is Tuesday. I'm running a little late because I was like putting some final touches on my thought for tonight. But while I'm giving you all a chance to tag some people, share the video, I just want to remind you that we do have another event coming up, Lionesses, on Saturday, April the 30th. So in a couple of weeks, a health and wellness event. And we're going to have my friend Rashonda Thornton, who is a licensed dietitian, talking about like healthy eating and just being mindful in your eating. And then my friend Marlene Wells is going to be talking about Christian yoga. And so she and I, actually, she was like, you think people have questions about what is Christian yoga? Maybe they, want to have kind of like a Q&A before they sign up. And so she and I are going to be talking briefly tomorrow and probably again next week too. Just about like, what is Christian yoga? Is that an oxymoron? Can Christians do yoga? What are, thoughts behind that? And so we are going to touch base tomorrow. So if you have questions about Christian yoga, what that means, what that looks like, then put them in the comments. If you saw my post the other day, then you can comment on there, you can DM me, and then I'm going to ask those questions of her tomorrow. And then, you can watch the video and make some decisions for yourself. And also, not until July, but this time is flying by so quickly, there will be another event, which is our Lioness Sip and Sew. So I'm excited about that. So that actually only has 10 slots. So if you are interested in making your very own African print pillow, then be sure to go ahead and cash at me for that. That flyer is floating around. Or if you have questions, I can answer those. So just wanted to be sure to mention those few things. So tonight, what are we going to be talking about? So I kind of don't really have a title. I wrote down adventure racing / upgrade yourself, which isn't going to make sense until I actually start talking. So let's get into it. All right. So I don't know. Has anyone ever heard of anything called adventure racing or It's called expedition racing, I think is another term for it. I am not familiar with it, or was not familiar with it until I happened upon a show on Prime TV. And it's called World's Toughest Race, the Eco Challenge, and they're doing it in Fiji. So I was like, what is the world's toughest race? Why is it an eco challenge? What is happening? So the host is Bear Grylls. So if you know anything about Bear Grylls, that should give you like a slight indication of like, it's going to be, survival is survival. Yes. So like Survivor, but where you like have to like brave the elements and, I don't know, rappel off mountains, do all this stuff because Bear Grylls do the most. So I totally started watching it because I just wanted to see why the people doing what they do. So this show, this Eco Challenge, it starts off with 66 teams of 4. So there's 4 people on each team. Starts off with 66 people. I think I'm on like episode 4. And so far, maybe like 6 or more teams have dropped out because they're like certain milestones you have to get to by a certain amount of time. Or if they get sick or something happens, they have to drop out. So anyway. So it starts off with these 66 teams from 30 different countries. It is a 11-day race. It has 5 legs to it. So there are 5 components to this race. And over the course of these 11 days in these 5 legs, they cover 417 miles. Let me say that again. It's 11 days. They have to do 5 legs and they cover 417 miles. And then for each leg of this race, they have to do something water-based. So they're either like rowing or they do something called, I'm going to mess up the name, but they had to make like these little wooden paddle boats and paddle them, or they have to swim or something. So something water-based, and I am totally going somewhere with this. So hang out with me, share, tag a friend. They're going to want to hear this. They have to do something land-based. So they have to like walk through the jungle with machetes, cutting down bamboo. There's no navigation. So there are no, GPS or anything like that. They literally have like a paper map and they have to figure out how to get through miles and miles and miles of jungle to these respective checkpoints. And then they have a biking component. So they have to ride a mountain bike over miles and miles and miles. So again, 11 days, 5 legs. Each leg has these 3 components. And from start to finish, it's 417 miles. Now they're doing all of this for the grand prize of, drum roll, $100,000 per team. So I was like, I don't know. Is that really worth it? What do you think? Like, for you all hanging out with me, or if you're watching this later on the replay, like, would you do all that for $100,000? I mean, I wasn't really feeling it. Hey, Naja. Hey, Jeremy. Yeah, so I was like, what? Where did they do that? So I didn't think it was worth it, but it was intriguing to me because apparently these individuals do. So I was like, why are they doing this? And one lady in particular made this comment that really made me kind of press in a little bit more. So as she was talking about, having done these, and many of these people, there are some newbies, but several of these people have done these type races for years, like 20 years. Like some people, their children whose parents did them and now they're doing it with their parents. Like, so it's a whole thing. as y'all know, I'm a nurse. I had to start researching it and looking things up. But this woman, this is what she said, and I wrote it down because it struck me. She said, I know that I love to suffer and do the sport and finish the race. And when she said that, I was like, she loves to suffer. Because who, again, 11 days, 417 miles through the jungle. I mean, it's not a walk in the park. Like, it is truly an endurance race, an adventure race. Like, it is major and significant, and people are like getting sick from heat stroke and heat exhaustion, and they're not like it's major. So, right, probably not. Hey, Deborah. And so she was like, I love to suffer. And that just resonated with me because my first thought was like, you crazy, y'all tripping. But the fact that so many people are willing to suffer and do this sport and finish the race, I was like, okay, Lord, it's a message in here somewhere. And you all know, like, you read the Bible, pray, God speaks in all kinds of ways. And for whatever reason, he just talks to me through these TV shows, and he drops these nuggets that I want to share with you. Oh, I forgot to say that at the top. Dr. S here. The Dr. S here, dropping nuggets you didn't know you needed. And as always, it's my hope and prayer that they will help you be your best you. So, adventure racing / upgrade yourself. So this woman says, I love to suffer, I love to do the sport, and I love to finish the race. So as I was looking up several different websites, trying to find out, again, what is it, how is it's been around since like 89. They have like a whole association. They have races all over the world from, a couple of hours to days like this one. And so kind of the common theme or the prevailing theme that I saw in researching this is, why do people do it? What seems to motivate them to participate in this level of sport, as they call it, is this mindset of, it's not enough to just live life. It's not enough to just go by kind of my daily routine and do the day-to-day stuff. Like, I want to push myself. I want to go beyond my limits. I want to see and do more. Sure, anyone can run, a marathon. What's 26 miles? When I can be a triathlete, when I can do extreme sports. I want to see how far I can go. And I was like, this is speaking to me. Okay, God, I see where you're going. And on one of the websites, one of the commentaries said, these types of events cause you to upgrade yourself. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, which part is the face for, Adisa? As soon as I saw that upgrade yourself, I was like, okay, here we go. So they were talking about ways that participating in these type of adventure racings, expedition racing, I'm the one calling it extreme sports because I can't run half a mile, let alone 417. So couple of things. And one website said that this upgrade, as you are upgrading yourself, this upgrade causes each athlete to test their physical and mental endurance in multiple disciplines like trekking. So I mentioned navigating through the jungle, the water component, so paddleboarding, rowing, swimming, as well as cycling. They even do rappelling, which, when you're like at the top of a mountain and rappel your way down on a rope. So they are testing their physical and mental endurance. So like when I watched the first episode, they rode in this, they call it a rig, but they rode in the rig through the night, got to land, had to trek through the jungle, and then paddle boat. When I tell you these people in sleep, I don't know when they ate. extra self, like when they go to the bathroom, they're literally like constantly moving, pushing themselves to the limit and beyond the limit. So the guy is saying this upgrade that you are causing for yourself pushes you and causes you to have this physical and mental endurance. And not only in one thing. So it's not like they're just racing or they're just, what's the bike, the Lance Armstrong, where they ride the bike for a long time. It's not just that. It's not just basketball, a basketball game. The I love to suffer part, right? Okay. It's not just one thing. So they are pushing themselves in a multiple areas. So I want to emphasize a few things because I'm gonna circle back to it. So it's the mental and physical endurance. They're doing it in multiple aspects. But this is helping them to upgrade themselves. This is their philosophy. This is their mentality. The other thing that this upgrade, that is a part of this upgrade or this upgrade consists of, is most of these activities are team sports. So as I was researching it, there are some, we think of like, what are they, like mud runs or Ironman races or those kind of things are solitary. So it's one person doing these things. But for these type of adventure races, they're usually a team because it's for a longer period of time. You need additional help and support. Different people have different skill sets that are important. And one of the websites said, the team dynamics can win or lose a race. I'm telling you, this is significant. These things are gonna come back and you're gonna see why I'm like, in my notes, they're bolded. The team dynamics can make or break, win or lose, cause you to succeed or fail. This is part of the upgrade though, having that team in place. The other thing about the upgrade is that it has some benefits. So participating in these activities are beneficial for a number of different reasons, but I just wrote down 3 of the ones that I saw. So participating in these can help you develop strong transition skills. So you're constantly shifting. So you might be rowing, for 50 miles, and then you're trekking through the jungle for 50 miles, and then you're, riding a bike for 50 miles. So you have to be able to shift. Okay, I'm not swimming anymore. Now I have to set my bike up, which they have to put their own bikes together, by the way. I have to set my bike up and ride through the mud or whatever, go through, they're in canyons, going through, I'm telling you, watch the show. So you learn these strong transition skills. You also learn different skills that enable you to be faster, more agile, and more nimble. So they were saying how, like, if you are a runner, if you only run, there are going to be like some muscles that you aren't working out, that you aren't training. So even if you're a runner, lift weights, do yoga, do these different things that help your body be more agile, be more adaptable, be more fluid, so that as you're making these transitions and doing these different things, your body is able to keep up with the change. And then he also said that participating in these type of extreme sports helps your mental health. So it helps, get rid of stress. In my mind, I'm like, it's the exact opposite. I'm stressed watching it. But, if you think about when you exercise and you walk or you run or you lift weights, it's a stress reliever. And so it was saying that it really helps to improve your overall mental health. So doing this upgrade, it has this component that increases your endurance. There's a team aspect. There are several benefits to participating in these. And so as I'm reading this and thinking about it, and like, God, I know that this is something that you want me to share. This is a nugget in some way. Where are you going with this, God? And so, excuse me, as I wrote those things down and I started to think about it, I'm like, okay, how does this relate to our Christian experience? How does the concept of participating in an adventure race or an expedition race or extreme sport, how does that impact our life, and what can we learn from this? So one of the things that it made me think of, so if you remember, the one woman said, I know that I love to suffer and do the sport and finish the race. So as you think about your Christian experience, your Christian journey, your Christian walk, your race, are you willing to suffer for what you believe in? These men and women who are ranging in age from, late teens to I think the eldest person on one of the teams is like 68. Are you willing to suffer for what you believe in? These individuals are willing to be in the jungle heat. They are willing to expose themselves to hunger, thirst, the elements. It's like torrential rains. They're getting stuck in what do you call it? Like where the rivers and stuff run, for something that they believe in, something that is important to them, something that has become a way of life for them. They are willing to suffer for that. What about us? Are we willing to suffer for what we say we believe in, especially when it's hard? Are you willing to push to the end? Are you willing to persevere no matter what? Are you willing to persist no matter the obstacles, the challenges, the difficulties? It was one young lady, one woman, she was in an accident in the military and she's deaf. And she was participating on her team. And as a team, they were like, we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep doing what we can until someone outside of us tells us to quit. They were like, we are not going to quit. If someone tells us we can't make it, then we'll respect the rules, but we are going to push through to the end. How many of us are like that? How many of us are willing to suffer, to push through, to not give up to the end of our race, our Christian race? So I hope you're thinking about this as you hear what these individuals are willing to do in the natural for something that they believe in, something that is important to them, something that they have invested their lives in, something they're willing to suffer for. What are we willing to suffer for what we say we believe in? So the second thing is, are you willing to test your physical and mental endurance? So this is what really got me, and you all know, and I say this all the time, when the Lord challenges me, I just want to share the wealth because I don't want to be the only person challenged. So are you willing to test your physical and mental endurance? These individuals, as I said, they're not sleeping, they're not eating. One of the websites I watched or read said that they are burning up to 12,000 calories a day. Most of us, if we kind of exercise, we're maybe burning 2,000, 2,200, maybe 25 if you're a man and like really work out or have a lot of muscle. They're burning 12,000 calories a day, and maybe eating, it said, like 8,000. And that's depending on, the type of race and how much time they have and those kind of things. That level of physical endurance, that level of mental endurance. One of the ladies was like, I cry every day. She was like, I'm going to do it, but I cry because it is just so hard. It is so exhausting. But they're still willing to push. They're still willing to suffer. They're still willing to test their endurance. And what about us? Are we willing to test our physical and mental endurance? Are we willing to sacrifice, to stay up late, to not eat? So i.e. fasting. Are we willing to do that? Are we willing to rise early and train in these multiple disciplines? And so as they are preparing for these races, they are doing things to get their body ready for the sport, for the test, for whatever is coming up. Are we willing to do that? They're doing it in multiple disciplines. So as I said, water, jungle, biking, those kind of things. Well, our multiple disciplines are reading our word, having personal Bible study, praying, fasting, consecration. All of those things are our multiple disciplines. And are we willing to test ourselves, push ourselves to the limit for what we are striving to do, these races that we are striving to be a part of? I know, like I said, that was what kind of pricked me, is like, man, you'll stay up and watch, 4 hours of this TV show. Are you willing to read for 4 hours? Are you willing to do Bible study for 4 hours? Are you pressing through in prayer for an hour? Are you fasting, more than a day, or more than 3 days, or 7 days, or 21 days, or 40, like whatever it is? Like, are you willing to test yourself? If I know I can read a Bible verse, am I willing to push myself to a chapter? If I know I can read a chapter, am I willing to push myself to 2 or 3? If I know I can read 3 chapters, am I willing to pull out my journal and actually dissect those verses? If I know I can do a fast where I fast, like I skip lunch, if I fast from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., if I know I can do that, am I willing to push myself to a 3-day fast? Am I willing to push myself to a water or a liquid fast or a water fast? Am I willing to push myself to a Daniel's fast? Like, so whatever it is you feel like I can manage that, are we willing to push ourselves to test our physical and mental and spiritual endurance? The third thing it had mentioned that I said about the sport is that it's a team sport. So what can we learn from this? Are we willing to be a part of a team? Now, I know, we are strong people, strong will, got it together, holding it down, all of those things. But sometimes it's important to be a part of a team. And then if you do have a team, as you are assessing it, who's on your team? The individuals on these teams have certain skills. Some of them are like, okay, I'm the navigator. I do really well with the trekking part and looking at the map and figuring out where we're supposed to go. Other people are like, I'm great with the water part, so I'll be the one to dive down to get the medallion, or the one to climb up or rappel down, or the one to, be the lead when we're doing the bike riding. Some of them, they have like nurses on their team, or people who have like medical backgrounds. So if somebody gets injured, they can, like, they are strategic about who they have on their team. And everyone has a purpose, and all of those purposes and all of those specific skill sets are needful and useful and help the team become successful. When I listen to them talk, they're like, there's no there's no I in team. So there was no competition. It was like, why you get to be the leader? Like on the first night, the team that was initially in the forefront, the guy who was working really, really hard to help them, paddle and get to the first checkpoint, Because he was working so hard, he then was suffering from heat exhaustion. And so all the rest of the team, they tied ropes around themselves and to him. So as they were, walking through the jungle, they're making sure he's not stumbling. They're making sure he's okay. We need to rest. We're willing to fall behind to help him get better. So then we can press through because it's a team effort. Nobody was like, well, he did his part. He served his purpose. We can just let him go. We don't need him anymore. I mean, we'll come back for him. No, it was a team effort. So are we willing to be a part of a team? Are we willing to be not only a part of a team, but to be a part of a team that's healthy, that's working together, where there is no competition, where the aim is the success of the team? And so for us, are you a part of a local ministry, a local body of Christ, a healthy local body of Christ? It's a whole nother conversation, not just a part of a ministry or a part of a church, but are you a part of a healthy team? Do you have an accountability team? Your core group. You might not talk to or hang out with the people who attend your church every day, but do you have 2 or 3 people who are helping you hold it down to make sure you are doing what you're supposed to do, studying your Bible, reading, holding the fast that you are supposed to be on, making sure you're not falling back in an old mindset or way of life? And then just generally speaking, are we as the body of Christ, do we have a team? Do we recognize that we are a body and that we're working together, and it does not and should not be conflict and division going on between us because we work better as a team? So these lessons, these nuggets that I was learning from this show and continue to learn from this show reminds us, are we willing to suffer for what we believe in? Are we willing to suffer for this Jesus we say we serve and that we love? Are we willing to push ourselves and challenge ourselves when it comes to our own physical and mental and spiritual endurance, to push past what we know we can do and take it to the next level? And are we willing to be a part of a team? Are we willing to allow God to place us where we need to be, place people around us that need to be there, and then we work together? So doing those things, doing those 3 things, being willing to suffer, being willing to test yourself, and to be willing to become a part of a team, just like in the actual sport, the extreme sport, and the adventure racing, just like they have benefits, doing these 3 things in the spirit realm also has benefits. So what could they be? You might develop strong transition skills. So think about it. When life happens with you, to you, around you, how do you handle that? Do you transition well? When something unexpected comes your way, like, do you freak out? Do you fall back? Do you just get all discombobulated? Like, what happened when you have to transition? When you practice these things, when you upgrade yourself in the way like these athletes are doing, then we too can develop those strong transition skills. So when something does pop off that's unexpected or unplanned, then we can switch gears. We can change it. We can flow with what's happening. Okay, so we were swimming, but now we need to ride the bike. Bet. Let me change up. Let me take off my swimwear. Let me put on my biker shorts. I'm gonna keep it going. I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm gonna improvise if I need to. In one of the episodes, one of the guys, something happened with his bike. I don't know if he was missing a part or something happened. And so he could have just given up. But what he ended up doing was improvising. There were some teams who didn't make it to the checkpoint, therefore they were out of the race. And he asked them, hey, is somebody willing to let me use your bike or use your bike parts? And they said yes. And he started crying because they didn't have to do that, number one, but they did. And now he was willing to shift with this unexpected change and keep going with the race. There are other people who are like, I could put this paddle boat. Oh my gosh, I wish I could remember the name. I could put it together myself, but guess what? There are people here who are native to this country who they do this on a daily. I will ask them if they can help me switch gears, change up, improvise. They are able to transition well. How do we do? Think about your life again. If you're watching this now, if you're watching the replay, how are your transition skills? Are you able, like them, to shift and change up and improvise? Or do you fall apart? Do you give up? Do you quit? Never mind. It could not have been the will of the Father if everything is not lining up perfectly. Is that how we do? Or that just me? But when we practice, when we are preparing for this race, when we are recognizing that God is upgrading us, then we are learning these skills. We are learning how to transition well. So no matter what life throws at us, no matter what the enemy throws, no matter what happens on the job, no matter what happens with, our family, friends, our loved ones, we are able to manage it. We're able to navigate it in such a way that we don't get off course, we don't get off track. We're still headed towards the finish line, right? We're still over there, wherever there is, and 417 miles to the end. We're gonna keep pressing. We're gonna keep getting there. So that's one of the benefits as it relates to us in our Christian journey. The other thing was, it said that you learn these different skills, or learning these different skills enable you to be faster and more agile, right? So in the same way, in our Christian journey, we might learn some new things. Now, you all know for the over a year at this point now that I've talked about like church culture and the conferences that I host and, the different things, these lives, it's all about challenging the status quo. It's all about challenging tradition that is not needful, that is no longer purposeful. And so these individuals are learning different skills to help them be more nimble, be more flexible, be more adaptable. And we have to be like that too. There are some things that perhaps are, just for the sake of saying it like this, that are like Old Testament, old ways of doing things that could be perfectly fine, working perfectly well. What's the saying? If it's not broke, don't fix it, those kind of things. But if there are newer, improved, better ways of doing things, of thinking about things, even considering the possibility of doing something in a different way that will help serve you, help serve your ministry, help serve your community, help serve your family, help serve your life, can we at least think about it? Can we at least practice these different things? Maybe you've only ever listened to a particular type of music. So when we did the worship intensive, we talked about, maybe you've only ever listened to hymns. Well, what would happen if you listen to some contemporary Christian? Maybe you've only ever listened to, old school gospel. Well, what would happen if you listen to Christian rap? Even for myself, that is something I had kind of been like, I don't really do rap music. But I have been listening of late and listening to the words, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's deep. Oh yes, yes, I'm learning new things, and that's making me more pliable. That's making me more flexible. It's like Paul said, if I need to be like a Jew, I can talk to the Jews. If I need to be like a Gentile, there are ways that I can come and I can be like the Gentile. I can navigate it to be all things to all men. And so as we are learning these new skill sets, as we are trying these new sports and activities, so to speak, to go with the analogy, as we are learning these different things, it makes us more agile. So when someone comes to you from your job and, they do something that's completely out of your wheelhouse, because you have opened yourself up to the possibility of doing something a new way, you may be able to minister to that person. One, you can make the quick transition and be like, you know what? Hold it. Okay, yeah, let's talk about this. And you can be open to hearing what they have to say and possibly sharing something with them that is going to minister to them because you were willing to do it differently. You were willing to learn something different and then do something different. You with me? I'm telling you, this extreme sport is speaking all kind of nuggets. And then the last thing that I'd share with you about one of the benefits of this upgrade to yourself is that you will improve your mental and, of course, your spiritual health. But your mental health, think about it. When you allow yourself to kind of woosah, decompress, as Anissa said, and I watched a part of your story. Excuse me, when you allow yourself to just kind of breathe and take it all in, you're learning these transitional skills, you're learning, or at least being open to learning these new things. You're being faithful in your spiritual endurance, and you're stepping up your game and testing yourself and pushing yourself. All of those things are going to improve your mental and spiritual health. You will not be so bound. Sometimes holding on to those old way of doing things or not being willing to get outside of your box keeps you bound. There's less liberty in that for some of us. And so when you allow yourself to open up, you allow yourself to learn something different, you allow yourself to do something different, then that frees you to actually walk in the freedom that we have been granted by Christ Jesus. And that can't help but help your overall well-being when you are free to be free, right? When you are at liberty to be at liberty, then it's going to show. It's going to show in your life. It's going to show in your conversation. It's going to show in your body. It's going to show, in your prayer life. It's going to show in every aspect of your life that you are better. You know what I'm saying? You're going to look better. You're going to feel better. And so this whole concept of extreme sports or adventure racing, like, oh my gosh, it like really, really spoke to me and has challenged me to really consider, what am I willing to do to upgrade myself? What am I willing to do to show that I love to suffer for Christ? Like, I love to suffer for him. There's a scripture, and it's totally leaving me right now, but we talk about his benefits. Like, we want to be a partaker of his benefits. But the Bible also talks about being a partaker in his suffering as well. And this suffering is not even like I'm getting beat up for the cross suffering. This is just like, what am I willing to do to press myself? What am I willing to do to push myself? What am I willing to do to go beyond, like these individuals are willing to do? If I can run 1 mile, what am I doing to press myself to go 2 miles? If I can read, like I said, or if I can fast, or if I can pray for this amount of time, what would happen if I push myself to go just a little bit further? What would happen if I open myself up to a team, a new person, a new connection? What would happen? I would probably develop these stronger transitional skills. I will learn different things that are going to make me more agile. I'm gonna be more ready. So when the Lord wakes me up in the middle of the night, I'm not groggy because I've been training. Woo! I've been training for this. When he whispers something, I hear him clearly because I have learned how to tune my ear into him because I've been preparing for this. Pastor Quentin said this on Sunday. He was like, so often we're waiting to hear from God to be like, what do I do? What are my next steps? And he said, Pastor Quentin said, you've been trained for this. You already know what to do. So when we have trained for this, when we have trained for this, when we have trained for this in our prayer life, in our studying, in our fasting, we already know what to do. We already know what to do when that coworker comes to us. We already know what to do when that situation happens with a family member. We already know what to happen when we feel this unction to fast or pray. We already know what to do because we've developed these skills, right? So I'm wrapping up here because y'all know I like to keep it under an hour. And so I just challenge us. I challenge me. I challenge you, whether you're watching now or watching the replay, then I encourage us to think about these individuals who have worked really, really beyond hard to get to the place that they are. And if they are willing to train this hard, this diligently, this faithfully, this consistently, if they are willing to train for something where only one team is winning. Now, I mentioned at the top of this, 66 teams started, but only one team is the winner. Only one team is victorious. Only one team gets the prize of $100,000, which divided 4 ways isn't, I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money for all the hard work that they put in, not just in those 11 days, but in preparation for that. So if they're willing to work this hard and work this diligently for only one team to win, or just for the thrill of it, like even if they're like, oh, no, I'm not going to win, but I have bragging rights. I could say I participated in the world's, toughest challenge. I could say I met Bear Grylls. I can say I went to Fiji. I can say if they're willing to do all this for that, for these light things, which, are significant to them, no shade. But if they're willing to do all that, how much more should we be willing to run this race, this Christian race? Hebrews 11:1, the B part, the second part of that verse in the Passion Translation says, then we will be able to run life's marathon race with passion and determination, for the path has been already marked out before us. If they are willing to do it for that, then how much more should we be willing to run life's race, right? Life's marathons race with passion and determination. For the path has already been laid out for us. These people trying to find the path. They sitting here with a map in the dark, trying to find their path through the jungle of Fiji. Our path has already been marked out for us. God has already made our path clear, right? He's a light into our path, lamp to our feet, right? He orders our steps. So our path is already secure, it's already sure. We already know by faith where we're going. So if they're willing to do it for this in the natural on this side of glory, how much more should we be willing to run our Christian race, where we are also going to receive the ultimate prize? They're doing it for some money. They're doing it for bragging rights. They're doing it just for a sense of accomplishment to say that they did it. But we're doing it for the ultimate prize. We're doing it for the ultimate victory. Philippians 3:13 in the Amplified says, I press on toward the mark to win the heavenly prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. So I pray that this has been an encouragement to you today to think about, what does it mean for you to upgrade yourself? What does it mean for you to consider suffering for something you believe in, for suffering for this Christian, and I'm not even gonna say Christianity, to suffer for this Christ that you serve, that you love, that you want to be in greater relationship with? Are you willing to suffer for that? Are you willing to test and push your mental and physical and spiritual endurance to the limit, to go beyond what you think is your current limit? Are you willing to be a part of a team? And then are you willing to reap the rewards of developing a stronger transitional skill, to learn new things and to improve your overall mental and spiritual health? I believe it's worth it. I believe this upgrade is worth it. And, part of me was like, I'm going to come up with like a spiritual eco challenge. I'm going to, create. But here's the thing. This is your own journey. They may be doing it, when somebody puts a call out, says this race is coming up and they, get prepared for it and those kind of things. But you know if God is calling you higher. If God is saying to you, I need you to upgrade. If God is saying to you, okay, you've been running a mile now. Okay, now I need you to push your 5. What that means for you. And so, like for me, this was a challenge to be like, okay, upgrade. Let's do something different. And so I encourage all of us to consider what that means for us. So maybe tonight, after you finish watching this, maybe tomorrow after you sleep on it, you go, okay, God, I heard you. This was for me. This was for me. This was for me. Thank you for that confirmation. This was for me. Now, what do I need to do? What next steps do I need to make? And then follow through with it. Because these individuals could say all day, oh, I'm gonna run this race, and they're not doing anything. But they say they're gonna do it, and they do what they need to do to run the race. And so that is what I believe the Lord is challenging us to do. So I pray that this was helpful to you. I pray that it was definitely a nugget that challenged you, motivated you, encouraged you to upgrade. It's time for an upgrade. It's time for an upgrade. And again, if you're in the St. Louis area, come hang out with us next Saturday, April 30th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., where we're having our health and wellness event with Rashonda Thornton and Marnine Wells. If you have questions, feel free to DM me, but there are flyers floating around if you want to check that out. Thank you, as always, for joining me. Please feel free, it's not too late to share this video, to tag somebody, because they're going to want to hear about this upgrade. They're going to want to hear about it. It's for all of us. So I love you guys. Be blessed. I hope you have a great and phenomenal night. Lord willing, I will see you guys back next Tuesday, if the Lord says the same. So I love you guys. Be blessed. Dr. S. Bye, Facebook. Love you.